Okay, we are here. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's your Chapo. Matt, Amber, and myself are coming to you live from the extremely chill vibes of Southern California, the City of Angels, Los Angeles,
Will Menaker on the ones and twos.
Hollywood, California. But we are joined by a very special guest. You know him as from the Young Turks and from Twitch, the very popular streamer Hasan Piker. Welcome to the
go that far, but
well,
thank you. I'm also a huge Chapo fan, so this is like kind of intimidating for me. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, don't worry
I've been
about
very
it.
stoked on this.
We're all about chill, positive vibes here. We're Marianne Mindset 24/7.
We're so chill. There's no way you could possibly, fuck this up.
Yeah, no. We are
no,
terminally
I'll
chill.
still be chill. Like it's not, guys. It's not my first rodeo. I'll be all right.
well, you were hosting us in your apartment right now. Thank you very much for that.
Got a great dog.
Yeah, you got a wonderful
Thank you.
dog.
Fish.
Hello. But before we get into today's episode, just got to stunt a little bit. Matt, Amber, and I were gifted a trip to the Deadwood movie premiere last night. Kissed by the Gods.
Yeah.
We are among the Eloi, the select, the few.
And I actually prevented myself from leaning over during that. By the way, I've never seen this show, but I prevented myself from leaning over in the middle and whispering, "There's the Deadwood," which I seriously considered doing because I've been on a lot of edibles since I've been here, and that makes me laugh.
And then we went to the after party. No Caprino, no spoilers. HBO will revoke my soul if I divulge anything about the Deadwood. However, I will say Matt and I did get to bask in the aura of Ian McShane. I gotta say, one of the most powerful auras we've ever experienced.
Just this absolute power manlet. Just a tiny little gentleman with an open collar and slick back hair, just running that whole room.
But yeah, it was like our dream come true. We were at a party with the town of Deadwood.
Yeah, they were all there. All the stars were there.
All of your favorite cast members. So once again, huge thank you to Patton Oswalt for making that dream come true for us.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, we're here in LA with Hasan. Things are going great in the news, though. So we're sort of insulated it from because we're cool California vibes. Everyone is chill out here, but the news sucks. Things coming out pretty bad. Where do you want to start? Our upcoming war with Iran, or our upcoming abortion being illegal in the United States?
Neither of those are very Marianne.
Well,
Let's start with abortion.
Okay, let's start. So, Alabama has now joined Georgia as the latest state to pass a...
Ohio did it too. They're all in a contest to see what state's name will be in the name of the historic Supreme Court decision overturning Roe versus Wade. They want it to be Smith versus Alabama, not Smith versus Ohio or whatever the fuck.
So
They're clout chasers.
They literally are.
Yeah,
This is all about
true.
chasing clout. That's 100% correct.
This Klaus shit's funny, dude.
Yeah.
It's funny.
It's like, it's so not me.
Yeah.
last night, though, at the movie premiere, I was just thinking there are so many fake LA bitches here, and this so is me. I can't wait to become one.
Bring me another canapé.
So, just the Alabama, you probably already know about the Georgia one. Just real quick here, reading from the New York Times, a write-up of this, just said, what does Alabama do? The bill that the Republican-controlled legislature overwhelmingly passed sought to prohibit abortions at every stage of pregnancy. It includes an exemption in cases for cases where a woman's health is at serious risk, but lawmakers rejected a proposal to add exceptions for cases of rape or incest. Women who have abortions will not be prosecuted under the measure, but if the courts allow the law to stand, doctors could be charged with a felony and face up to 99 years in prison for performing the procedure. So they're withholding the death
Very
penalty.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, very enlightened.
I guess
How many doctors that perform abortions do you think are left in this state though?
in Alabama, very,
because
very few.
This sounds like it's a little misleading, and not that this isn't terrible, but every time one of these things happens, it's generally in a state where like the only providers is like the one Planned Parenthood or one doctor with like bulletproof, windows. The issue, first of all, Roe v. Wade is not good legal precedent to defend the right to abortion. Second of all, in addition to like a firmer legal defense, like we're not going to ever have secure access to abortion without socialized health care. We're just not. And we can't rely on Planned Parenthood because, like, you know, God bless them. They certainly helped me out in a pinch, but like they do not have the long game in mind. They are truly a liberal institution with extreme limits. They're not good at defending abortion.
They are being attacked though, because I mean, it's sort of like, I feel like you sort of forget how much the anti-abortion people, like what kind of freaks they really are, but they're feeling it. They're feeling themselves now for sure, and they're sharing some very normal thoughts. I just capped this one courtesy of wet-faced, fish-lipped freak Matt Walsh, who says of the new law, if a 12-year-old is raped by her father and the father takes her to get an abortion, the evidence of the crime will be destroyed and he will go on molesting his victim for years. If, however, the child is born, his crime will be discovered and she will be rescued from the abuse. So all she has to do is bear her father's child.
Let your rape baby be your savior.
Wait, I don't understand. So, like, hey, Matt Walsh is a father, right? Because he talks about being a father all the time. But this man is obviously never fucked. Because, like, if this is your perspective, like, do you genuinely think that the only way to prove that someone raped you is if you carry the pregnancy to term at the age of 12?
Well, you have to wait until the kid looks enough like you to be prosecuted.
Like, his children are the only way he can prove to other people that he's had sex. So that's the terms he's thinking in.
Yeah, like there's absolutely no other evidence, forensic or otherwise, that you could ever use to prosecute.
Certainly not a testimony from a woman.
That's why the rape kit backlog exists, because like these people got abortions. So that's why there's a backlog and they can't test them anymore because there's no children. There's no proof.
Well, Matt Walsh seems to think that Planned Parenthood's main goal is covering up crimes. Yeah. Like there's just sort of like Harvey Keitel's character in Pulp Fiction.
Essentially.
So much cooler than they are.
Well, so it says here,
if they were like actually doing that, if they were, you know, in the dead of night, you know, running some sort of like black market abortion access thing, it would legitimately be far more impressive than the fight that they're able to put up at this point.
Well, the right wing claims that they sell the baby organs
to make Impossible Burgers.
Yes. No, that's not a joke.
That's not a joke.
That is a good
I think it was Azalea Banks said that.
Like, it's up there with the Pepsi has stem cells in it.
Well, it doesn't make it taste any better.
Yeah,
no,
Diet
whatever they're
Coke
putting
is
in
still
Coke.
much better.
I'm sipping this Diet Coke right now.
Yeah.
I can't drink Pepsi. It's awful.
Bad.
Well, yeah, I mean you're pro-life, so you can't you can't launder your conscience that easily. Just to finish up, the New York Times goes on to say a Senate vote on Tuesday night moved the proposal to Governor Kay Ivey, a Republican who signed the legislation on Wednesday afternoon. To the bill's many supporters, this legislation stands as a powerful testament to Alabamians' deeply held belief that every life is precious and that every life is a sacred gift from God, Ms. Ivey said in a statement. I mean, I know that you can say that, but for states like Alabama and Georgia to say it's a deeply held belief of this state that every life is sacred and precious, it's just like, could you do a better job of showing that, maybe?
Yeah.
Because these states do have the highest maternal and infant mortality rates in America.
Yeah, once, you know, you take it to term, then it's your problem. I don't know. I don't know how we're going to actually deal with this. I hope that this is like wrapped up and smashed down really tidy, because if it gets drawn out, people will pay attention to nothing but this. I do not put it past Republicans to like try to drum up so-called culture wars at the last minute to distract people from the fact that like suddenly like Medicare for All is an incredibly popular policy and people are getting behind, you know, education, anti-poverty initiatives. I think that they could very easily just keep pulling this shit well into the election so that we pay attention to that to the exclusion of all other things and everyone runs out of energy.
But don't you guys think this is kind of a losing battle in some sense? Because, I mean, culture wars, Republicans are really good at it. We all already know this. But abortion is like that one issue that definitely mobilizes a significant portion of the Republican base, but it's still not something that, I don't know. I feel like it's not as popular as Republicans make it out to be.
Like in terms of the prospect of making abortion illegal or overturning Roe v. Wade?
Yeah, I don't think people are as extremely... but also, like, we've lost so much... The Democrats have lost so much political footing that I think it's very easy. And again, these laws are awful and they shouldn't exist, and we need better, legal precedent than Roe v. Wade. But also, the biggest issue is that, like, no one can afford health care of any kind, and that it's incredibly difficult to access any of this stuff. I mean, the number of doctors that even perform abortions at this point is so low in America, and it's been steadily dropping ever since, just because it's, like, not worth it. Like, they can't rationalize the risk to it. They can't find a place to fucking work. Like, Planned Parenthood can barely keep its head above water, like, in terms of, like, keeping clinics. And then, like, everything else is, like, just death by 1,000 cuts. It's like, it's austerity anti-abortion activism, which is probably more effective at this point than the legal stuff.
I did see, in terms of other normal people sharing their normal thoughts, Ross Douthat today, big time anti-abortion,
Big Boss Ross.
Big Boss Ross. He seemed to be making the case that, like, you can't say that women's full political equality is depends on abortion, because there are other countries in the West that made abortion illegal after Roe v. Wade, and women were fine in those countries, and the examples he used were Ireland and Chile. And Ireland, it was
he really likes those the mass grave countries.
Yeah,
big fan of those.
Yeah.
Ireland, where you go to jail if you fly over to, like, the UK.
Not anymore.
Not anymore, but not even. Yeah,
Very
in
recently.
fucking Ireland.
Yeah.
Very, very recently, but the
land of Magdalene laundries.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, women's, like full political and economic enfranchisement. And by the way, in the Chile, anti-abortion was instituted by Pinochet, by a right-wing dictatorship.
Yeah.
Just misunderstood. You hate people of color. You shit on Pinochet. Sorry, I have to say it. Canceled.
We hate people of color. We hate Pinochet. We hate the Irish. Yeah.
Well, actually, you said the magic word. This is in my queue as well, but we might as well talk about it now. From irishcentral.com. Bernie Sanders says Irish just fight and get drunk, many people think. And this is coming
They
up.
made it sound like he said it too, which is great.
And what's his name? Hillary Man General Tom Watson was like, well, I guess Bernie just lost the Irish vote. And I love the idea that there's, like, the Irish vote is still something in American politics. And the extent that it does exist, they're all Republican, like, Blue Lives Matter lunatics.
Yeah, Irish were slaves too, motherfuckers.
So...
wait, what? I mean, beyond, like, what group you march in for St. Patrick's Day, like, does he think that there's, like, a legitimate, like, Irish American community at this point?
Yeah, they're called the police. And the city of Boston.
Yeah.
But no, this is they of course are digging into the archives of this, the recently rediscovered, because everything about they're trying to find anything about Bernie, and they discovered his public access show from Vermont.
Oh my God.
Have we talked about this yet?
Every time
So
they come
good.
for him, he only becomes more powerful.
So like the public access show is wonderful.
Yeah.
And
it's so great. It's adorable. My favorite is when he, like, talks to a baby, but, like, it's like a person, and he's like, hello.
No, my favorite is when he's talking to, like, a group of, like, first graders, and he's like, have any of you ever seen the drug cocaine?
Yeah.
Who's got that yayo?
And then one of them was like, do you mean Coca-Cola? And he was like, no, the drug cocaine. But so apparently on...
And then he calls a kid stupid afterwards. I think you're stupid.
So it says Bernie, and they're making it sound like he gave voice to, like, the opinion that the Irish are leery,
Which, if he had
drunken.
speaking the truth,
Opinion.
So it said,
Which is the real racism. So
Bernie Sanders called Irish drunks and fighters in an old television clip that has resurfaced about stereotypes. In one of his old public access TV shows, which have just been located, presidential candidate Bernie Sanders says the typical view of the Irish is they get in fights because they are drunks. All the Irish are drunks. Bernie Speaks to the Community is full of footage of Sanders discussing relevant issues. Yeah, like Irish people being violent drunkards.
Look, it's a problem, and he's speaking truth to power.
His remarks on the Irish were part of a conversation about stereotypes. Blacks smell, Sanders said he was told as a kid. Jews are greedy and selfish, Irish were drunks, and the Italians were mafia.
Wait, this is from that part?
Yeah.
Because I remember the first expose that happened in America when they cut out the Irish part, but they only talked about the Jews and the blacks that Bernie Sanders.
Well, yeah, he was addressing school kids. Yeah, it was the same thing, and
they didn't talk about the second part of the conversation.
Well,
at
he was
all,
broadly
like negative.
Yeah, he was like expressing stereotypes to show that like he was like, this is what I was told, and like they are foolish and wrong.
It's the
such a
Irish
scam.
press that picked up on it too, and of course they left it with like the Irish thing and didn't mention the whatever greedy Jews part and like. What's up their ass? What do they got against Bernie?
Well, I think it's pretty clear if you're like reading this from irishcentral.com that, whoever wrote it.
You're just happy someone's talking about you.
Well, I think who wrote it probably wasn't drunk at the time because I think it is pretty clear what the context is here. But the Irish vote, Bernie, come on, do better.
Yes. He'll be all right.
What I don't understand is like every time we find old Bernie Sanders footage that gets unearthed, I mean, first of all, he looks exactly the same. Like, why does he look like he's 75 when he was like supposed to be 40?
Well, he's never changed policies and never changed looks.
Matt and I were talking about this. That's sort of like the best move you can do for a politician or like character actor.
Look old early,
like
then you'll look the same, like Ian McShane. They show like clips before the thing. They showed these. They showed a bunch of while we were sitting down waiting for the show to start. They had this montage of pictures from Deadwood. And they were pictures from the new movie and from the old show. And you could easily tell which it was with every character except for McShane. He was like, is that from now? Is that from this movie? Or is that from the original show? You didn't know because he's got the exact same face.
And we thought like Philip Baker Hall has had the same look for
Danny
decades.
DeVito, too.
Danny DeVito, yes.
Yep. An early old. It's a king move to be an early old.
And like, you read that statistic that when he filmed the movie Cocoon, Wilford Brimley is like my age now.
Insane.
And, he still looks the same.
Yeah.
It's a boss move. But then the other thing that I get upset about whenever I see these old Bernie footage is like, I feel like he was way cooler back then. He would just come out and say it. Like he would just say it. Like he'd be like, yeah, I'm against all U.S. Foreign intervention, like across the board. I'm with the USSR is not that bad, actually. Things like that, where, I don't know, I feel like he was way cooler back then, and now he's kind of gotten a little bit softer with old age.
Well, I think
or maybe he's hiding his power level. Who knows?
He's running for president, and also, I think you're just not allowed to call kids dumb anymore. They would be mad if a presidential candidate did that. And I think what we expect of a presidential candidate now is a softer kind of thing, which is to our detriment. I would love it if Bernie was, one, loud about wars, loud about being anti-imperialist, and two, just calling kids dumb.
Look at these little dipshits.
Well, Amber, you said...
I mean, Biden does it, and they love him for it.
I was just going to say, Biden is going around saying, like, millennials are stupid and lazy, and, like, give me a break that, you think your life is hard. So I don't know, maybe you can get away with that. But then again, like children and millennials are different because we associate millennials with like ungrateful, people in their 20s or like,
Yeah, versus the Zoomers who are definitely much better. Yeah.
Well,
the fucking Fortnite generation.
Well, Hasan, we're going to talk to you a little bit about your contact with the Zoomer generation via Twitch. But just the last thing I want to talk about Alabama, and obviously, this sucks, and like there's very little that's funny or entertaining about it, save for the names of some of these Alabama state legislators who voted to pass this abortion ban.
Yes.
And I looked at this, and I swear to God, I had to look up the names to make sure this wasn't a work. Like someone just photoshopped it, like the teen roast thing that Rob Wiseman did.
Chris, Curb Lurbs.
And this is like a throwback because this was like the classic Teacot era of Twitter where, one of the original and greatest Cushbomb bits were just Teacot names.
Kurt Carruthers lives forever.
So let's go through some.
Me and Felix sort of called a lot of the Kurt world into existence in 2014. We just pulled these people out of the ether.
All right, let me go through some of the highlights here.
I really shouldn't have done all that tweeting from a Ouija board.
All right, Larry Stutz.
Hell yeah. Larry Stutzing on those O's.
Tim Melson.
Shay
Shellnut.
No. It's like these are the almost names where it almost sounds like a real name.
Shellnut.
They're just uncanny.
Shay Shellnut.
This is one of the best. Will Barfoot.
Barfoot is legal, folks.
Yeah, in Alabama, barfoot is legal, but abortion is not.
Yep.
And then, of course, this is the best of them all. This is the most teacot name. I could not believe this is real. Garland Gudger. Garland Gudger.
No. First of all,
Garland.
making an alliterative name is child abuse. But both of those are fake.
Garland, I feel like I had some sort of rendezvous with you in my head like 5 years ago. I saw you as a vision of apocalypse coming towards me, like Randall Tex Cobb in Raising Arizona. And then I gave you birth. I birthed you into existence with my incantation.
This is the kind of Western culture that we're trying to preserve by making sure that abortions are illegal so that everyone has to carry their pregnancies to term, and then we can come up with more creative white names like this.
Yep. I can't wait
So
for
good.
President. I cannot wait for President Bunch Huggins to finally institute
Oh,
the
God.
cleansing that we need.
Streaming Fortnite right now on Twitch. Like, thinking about his next move.
Yeah, no, the Antichrist is alive right now, and he is doing Fortnite on
Yep.
Twitch right
His
now.
name is Bunch Huggins. Fear him.
Yeah, it's that 14-year-old girl, Soph, on YouTube who is like, calling Muslims the sand N-word and stuff. She's going to be the next president.
Oh, she will. Yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll take some of these kids' skills that they've learned playing Fortnite and apply them to our next war, which looks like it's going to be with Iran.
You know what? I really do feel like we could kill two birds with one stone here. Gather some of these Zoomers, just airdrop them over to Iran. As you know, like the Iranians were always famous for their soldier waves. We could just do something similar with our excess.
They're feral children.
Feral Zoomers.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I'm going to have to like dance for them in the afterscape in exchange for like canned goods and a thimble full of rusty water. I'm gonna have to be like, hey kids, are you yeeting? Are we yeeting today? And they're like, no, I'm gonna make an iPhone case out of your back flesh. So I would rather we send them to Tehran, thin out the ranks a bit.
Well, you may get your wish, Matt, because this is like, I just feel like it's evidence of the time we live in now that like we all remember like the Iraq War and like how bullshit that was, but I really feel like they tried as hard as possible to sell that and roll that out, full court press with like the UN presentation and the media and everything. Like they
don't need to sell us
all hands
anymore.
on board with this. I just think like this is just lazy. The shit they've come out with, this like Saudi oil tanker they just said were attacked by Iran
with no visible evidence of any kind of damage.
And it's like, also just they know that they don't have to. They know they can phone it in. We've already resigned ourselves to the fact that we're going to war all the time, everywhere in the world, without any sort of popular support.
I just want to read from the Wall Street Journal account of this. And like, the Wall Street Journal, I think, is like a pretty good paper of record. And like, if you read through the lines, you can just see what U.S. says Iran likely behind ship attacks. Officials say 2 Saudi oil tankers and vessels from Norway and the UAE were damaged. Someone else pointed this out, but like, I feel like when it was the USS Maine and the Gulf of Tonkin, at least they were our ships.
Yeah.
We were pretending.
Yeah.
I volunteered.
Like, you will not go after my best friend Norway.
Or no, it's like the fucking UAE and shit. It's like, yeah, I volunteered to be just turned into human hamburger to avenge some fucking sheik's slave yacht.
Or a Saudi oil tanker.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually full of all their pet falcons.
Oh no! Somebody scuffed the yacht from the end of Taken. We must pay them back with blood.
Even the people that they're using are the same people. They're just plagiarizing the same talking points.
It's John Bolton.
Yeah.
Everything is identical to Iraq. It doesn't matter anymore.
See,
The whole gang's here.
They're in a problem though. Is that in terms of the media world and like the obstacles to action? Yeah, nothing matters anymore. They could go to war with Iran tomorrow and not feel like they have to build up. They don't have to manufacture consent the way that the Bush administration did. Problem is, this is post-Iraq, so we're not in any shape to take fucking Iranians. And the thing pushing against this, I think, the corridors of power are actual military guys.
Yes.
We're like, dude, I'm going to get my ass.
Oh, what? Yeah, we're going to open up a 2-front war against Iran and Venezuela with the current state, and like not only that, but like I think
we'll just have it all done by drones, which will be driven by the Zoomers that Hasan plays with all day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not going to cut it against Iran or even Venezuela.
No,
you can
do like a limited strike or something to try to like knock out the nuclear program, but that's pretty clear that they don't give a shit about the nuclear program because of the way they tore up the fucking agreement they had that was working. It's about causing...
Which was a soft-ass move on behalf of Iran, by the way. That's my take on it.
Oh, that's your hot take.
Soft-ass move, dude.
Don't negotiate with the United States, man.
Don't negotiate with fucking terrorists.
Yeah.
Why would you waste your fucking time talking to the United States? Oh, yeah, anything we agree to can be canceled on a whim by the brain-damaged, sexual assaulting game show host.
But, Ember, to your point, like, I feel like everyone is so beaten down that they're not even trying to sell this bullshit. However, if it did happen, unlike the Iraq War or war on terrorism, I think it would immediately be overwhelmingly unpopular. Like, I just feel
especially
like
considering what it would entail.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, again, we cared more about those 2 very large buildings than we do about a Norwegian boat.
That's the thing. We're so far from 9/11. We just have this ambient. What we have left is an ambient Islamophobia, which we kind of never dealt with. But the payback desire has dissipated, and now all it has is this remorse about, oh man, we really fucking stepped into this.
I mean, I just want to read from this Wall Street Journal piece to just like give you a sense of like how lazy this shit is. An initial U.S. assessment indicated Iran was likely behind the attack on 2 Saudi Arabian oil tankers and 2 other vessels damaged over the weekend near the Strait of Hormuz. A U.S. official said, a finding that, if confirmed, would further inflame military tensions in the Persian Gulf. The assessment, while not conclusive, was the first suggestion by any nation that Iran was responsible for the attack and comes after a series of U.S. warnings against aggression by Iran or its allies and proxies against military or commercial vessels in the region. Oh, convenient that we made that warning right before this happened.
Well, they were citing some sort of rising threat that there's been no actual proof of.
Nothing.
Yeah, they just
happened.
Totally made up.
At least when
And it got fucking reported in the New York Times as Iranian threats in the region. No questioning about where the fuck that idea came from.
And again, when Colin Powell went before the UN, at least they had like an artist's rendition of what his mobile biological weapons labs would look like.
Yeah, where's the concept art?
Alex J. Brady, if you're out there, please contribute. But it just says here, the U.S. official who declined to be identified, didn't offer details about what led to the assessment or its implications for a possible U.S. response. The U.S. has said in the past week that it was sending an aircraft carrier, an amphibious assault ship, a bomber task force, and an anti-missile system to the region after it alleged intelligence showed Iran posed a threat to its troops.
I think they just wanted an excuse to take out the amphibious assault ship for a spin. Like, first of all, I don't even know what that is. Isn't that just a submarine? That surfaces?
No, an amphibious assault ship is designed to take troops from water to a beachhead.
I think it's like a giant version of like the D-Day crafts that they used to land on a beach.
Yes.
Very cool. We have to make use of them somehow. So they're just testing them out.
I think they do just want to like test out toys that aren't helicopters because we're not good at those anymore.
I mean, I wish Felix was here because this move to send the aircraft carrier group to the Persian Gulf like does strike me like a Felix Ohio guy character kind of thing to do. You know, just be like, yo, I'm gonna drive my car in front of your house, and you better see what the fuck I'll do if you throw a can at it.
Well, but the presence of U.S. vehicle there, of U.S. forces, that increases the likelihood of some sort of contact, which is what you want. You want them to fire a shot.
They're swinging their arms and saying, "I'm not hitting you.
Yes,
I'm not hitting you. I'm not hitting you."
Yeah, I'm gonna close my eyes and kick, and if you get hit, that's your fault.
It's not even saber rattling. It's like baby rattling. It's very immature.
There's a top British general in the U.S.-led coalition that also contradicted those claims as well. But then the United States was not very happy about that, where it's the top British general in the U.S.-led coalition against ISIS said that there's no increased threat from Iranian-backed forces in Iraq or Syria, directly contradicting U.S. assertions used to justify military buildup in the region. So
it's the wrong kind of expert then. Yeah, they're going to... Just his career's over.
Yeah, but unlike the U.S. official, being quoted here, I mean, I'm sure that guy put his name to that.
Yeah, Major General Chris Gorka
Okay, never mind. Never mind. Not a person.
Yeah, he's made up.
The U.S. publicly rebuked him. So
that guy's an op for sure. Oh yeah, and then I saw today also future apocalypse starter Senator Tom Cotton.
Yes,
was
Greg Stilson,
i.e. the guy who Joe Biden will lose to in 2024 if he gets in the White House. He was on this PBS show, The New Firing Line, with Margaret Hoover, and she was interviewing him about a war with Iran, and like it was so bone chilling because she was like, she said like, "Do you want to go to war with Iran?" And he was just like, "No." And I'm just like that. And then like he said a line where he's like, what will a conflict with Iran be like? And he's just like, only be two actions, the first one and the last one.
Could we win a war with Iran?
Yes.
That didn't take you a second.
2 strikes, the first strike and the last strike.
Iran, if you take a swing at me,
this is gonna be two hits.
Me hitting you and you hitting all of our fucking military bases with Hezbollah car bomb attacks and causing our fucking civil society to collapse in 2 weeks.
It's not even like, at least when we used to be horrific war hawks, like the McCheesemo was believable. They didn't sound like Dermot from Venture Brothers, like arguing about how many people he could potentially beat up. Like,
just don't panic, Hank. I've handled this kind of mess before. Why do you think they used to call me the Wolf?
Nobody calls you that.
Well, they did back in my old neighborhood when they weren't calling me Psycho.
At least there was some kind of conservative.
This
is so childish and embarrassing.
Iran
You're embarrassing
is just,
us.
at the end of the day, Iran is too big a fucking task. It's too big of a country. It's got too big of a military. It's too big of a bite to chew on. And basically, all you have is this schizophrenic response because you have elements in the government who truly believe that we have to take out Iran for a bunch of reasons, and ones who believe that would undermine our long-term interests because of the difficulty of the task given our stretched military. I mean, we're fighting 7 fucking wars simultaneously, and this would be a bigger project than all of them put together. Invading and holding Iran, it absolutely would. And so they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And that stalemate is why we see shit like this. Because when you get a chance, you push on the lever and see, well, maybe we can spark a confrontation, get something moving, and then all of a sudden all those institutional roadblocks, they fall away because it's happening too fast.
And just Leslie says, if they do anything, they will suffer greatly. We'll see what happens with Iran, President Trump said, while meeting with Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban at the White House earlier on Monday.
That whole quote, like if you listen to it, it's actually like they make him sound less stupid and childish by cutting out the things he said before and after that, because he's doing the repetitive sundowning thing when he was giving the quote.
And when he talks about the foreign policy, that's when the press that usually makes fun of him and questions him and undermines all of his claims and says he's a big dumb baby, all of a sudden decides, whoa, this is serious stuff. We have to take him seriously, and we're not going to underline the fact that he's a sundowning old clown.
Well, because all the institutions that the press has to maintain are doing their cost-benefit analysis right now, just like you said, trying to figure out if it's worth it to do boots on the ground military warfare with Iran, which it won't be.
Yeah.
So, that's why they're, but if push came to shove and they realized that this would be beneficial for the military industrial complex, without a doubt, they would do it.
Right now, the thing stopping all these, any new wars is all of our old wars. That's basically it. It's the fact that we have all these open accounts on the books is the only thing stopping us from doing this stuff.
That and, as Liz Warren said, climate change.
Oh yeah,
that was a gem from Elizabeth Warren.
Boy,
today.
she's really trying to play both sides.
It's amazing because it's such an easy pitch. Not only is the military a blood-soaked imperial monster on the world stage, it is a huge financial albatross around the neck of a country that's trying to provide any kind of social safety net because of how much it fucking costs. And it's the world's #1 institutional carbon producer.
Yeah.
The #1 force for climate change in the world.
It's a death machine both actively and passively.
And so if the pitch to say cutting it drastically, it reduces mayhem and violence in the world. It gives us money we can use to do other things like green energy reinvestment and greening and decarbonizing energy and all that stuff. It allows us to do that. And it fucking cuts greenhouse emissions. To the degree to which you cut the military and like shut bases and stop it doing stuff, that's a degree of carbon that is not being replaced. No one else is putting in carbon that you stop putting in. You are net reducing carbon. It's a 3-for-1. All you got to say is cut the fucking thing. Not this shit about we're going to reinvest it and change it so it's more effective and efficient. What the fuck are you even talking about now?
She can't do it. Inside her head right now, she's realizing she's come to a conflict that will not change. It's just, you know that video of turkeys just circling a tree? That's what's happening in her brain right now.
Yes.
It's like a friend of mine he laid out the logic in like a formal proof or whatever. And he said, the military is a massive part of the problem. The problem also has become a problem for the military. So I will use the cause of the problem to solve the problem. So the problem doesn't get in the way of the cause of the problem doing the thing that it mostly is the problem.
Yes, exactly. And it's because, and this is the people want to say.
How do you do that? She's got like a tesseract brain.
Well,
it's a Mobius strip.
A lot of leftists say, well, why not Warren? I like Warren. She's got all these great policies. She's a woman. I feel like I'm not going to get the Bernie bro thing. Come on, let me support Warren. I want to support Warren. And there are differences in terms of their policies, but the real difference comes down to the fact that there are these incommensurabilities at the heart of American politics, these genuine conflicts that can't be overcome with language. And Bernie has an idea what to do with them. You can argue whether it's possible or not, but it's the idea of the political revolution, where you have outside forces, organized American citizens putting pressure on government to do what is best for the American people. That's the theory. So it's like if there's a conflict, you bulldoze it and you challenge it outright, and you bring in people to help you defeat it from outside. If Elizabeth Warren believes in the old-fashioned idea of at the center of this, there are conflicts, and then what do? You try to triangulate around them. And so, but certainly every Democrat who gets in office with that rhetoric, when it comes to the reality of triangulating, ends up always doing it in the terms of business as usual and traditional politics, and it all gets compromised into oblivion.
She's trying to do the Obama thing, but honestly, she's not crafty enough.
Exactly. And it's like
not just,
Obama.
There are substantial policy differences, but also Liz Warren is too conflict averse, and she's goofy. That's the dumbest thing.
Very goofy.
That was just dumb. That was just embarrassingly dumb. If Obama was, I'm sure he would try and do something similar in his peak, in his heyday. But he wouldn't have sounded that stupid doing it.
Bernie has a theory of change, and none of the other ones do.
Here's my idea. All of our aircraft carriers, they're wonderful. They're beautiful, beautiful ships, folks. We take the giant decks that they use to launch fighter jets, solar panels. We make them giant floating solar panels, and the boats will go where the sun is. All the time. But they'll be like trailing a giant cable, like a USB cord or something. Look, there's still some kinks to be worked out, but I think there's
something there.
There's something very liberal about taking the military and like turning it green as though that's the only problem that we have with the military.
It's legitimately that level of liberalism. You usually have to go to Israel to find something like vegan IDF soldiers. To find something that liberal in mindset. You usually have to go to Israel. They're the best at it, but we're catching up with this whole greening of the military.
But gay.
Yeah. So gay. The military.
It's the military, and they're just green.
Right.
They're way.
We're
gonna
paint the tanks green. Okay, I'm hearing the tanks are already green.
Well, moving on now from potentially real wars to. The virtual wars, the combat that takes place every day in our video game systems. Hasan, I wanted to talk to you about your experiences, being on Twitch and the kind of, sort of weird and very specific culture of Twitch that, these kids are into. Our friends are sort of the Chapo satellite, the FYM boys. They have their own Twitch stream that we love, and they're doing a lot of stuff with that.
I try to get them to participate in Twitch culture as much as possible, but they refuse for some weird reason. So don't let them fool you. Like, they are the boomers of Twitch.
That is frightening. Holy shit.
Oh my God.
You're about
they already seem just hopelessly gone.
Yeah, but also you are about to get anthrax in the mail from Felix for that comment.
No, he knows. I try to get him to get like emotes and stuff, like BTTV emotes. I'm not going to get too deep into it. Some of the people that follow you already follow my channel and Chapo as well, obviously.
There's some overlap, but I mean, I'm interested. Like the thing, like I know you told me about this before, and I've talked about it with like with Aaron and Felix and them. Like, my prejudice going into this, like thinking about what the culture and community of Twitch is like, is like the gamer stereotype of sort of reactionary incel young man.
Which is why I joined the platform originally. This is not a joke. So when I first joined Twitch, I was like, this is relatively new. I need a place to build habitual viewership anyway, because I'm on fucking Facebook duty at TYT, and everyone that watches Facebook news now is like 68 years old plus, so it's awful. I mean, they vote, but whatever. They don't care for my leftist takes regardless. They think I'm trying to separate the party as a Kremlin agent. So, so I got on Twitch because I knew that like this is a young audience, mostly male, probably prone to reactionary politics, but their political idols are a bunch of idiots. I mean, they don't know anything, and all the takes that they've heard. Heard about like leftist politics have been just straw men from the likes of Steven Crowder and Ben Shapiro and all these other people.
Yeah,
so,
YouTube like pedants.
Yeah, exactly. And it's always as
They've
you guys
been left
also,
to their own devices, and it's not good. It's very Lord of the Flies.
Yeah,
But at the same time, Twitch is this like huge phenomenon that's like seemingly inaccessible to like someone like me, but like among the Zoomers, the teens,
it's super insular. So most people don't know what the hell's going on at Twitch, but they are so active. Like they are so active. They're young. They're constantly on the platform, and they watch. I mean, they watch my streams for 6 hours on average, which is insane. They're all neats, so they all love Andrew Yang. They all love
okay.
Yeah. So they all want $1,000. They want their neat bucks, and so they
open your third eyes.
Yeah.
What is the money to you if your soul is encumbered and darkened? Let's look into the light of Marianne mindset.
But Hasan, like the other thing that I was again like maybe foolishly surprised to discover is that I mean like that kind of reactionary thing that's there on Twitch, but there's like there is a big subculture on Twitch of like queer and trans teenagers.
Oh yeah.
And like that's like a big part of the culture. Like when we got here, you were trying to explain to Matt like their weird remixed music videos featuring sound effects from gay porn.
Yeah, there's this gay porn that's very famous in Japan. And
why is it famous in Japan?
Why are there famous gay porns in Japan?
I don't know how.
There aren't any famous gay
there.
porns in America.
It's just every time.
Not that you know
this
about.
is what happens every time someone tries to explain this to me. It only raises more questions.
Yeah,
that's what Japan is. It's just this horrifying onion of context.
So yeah, there's gay porn in Japan with this white dude and another Japanese gay porn star, and they took sounds. They took like little sound bites from the gay porn of like ass slapping and men saying like, "Oh fuck, that's so tight," things of that nature, and they remix every song. Yeah, they remix every popular song with those sounds, and that's like a big part of Twitch culture for some reason. I don't know who started it. I don't know why they do it. It's very weird because on the one hand, they're calling everybody soy boys and whatever, but on the other hand, they're like, oh no, but we're all gay, which is weird. I don't know I don't know.
Are they doing it?
Zoomers are hard to decipher.
But I mean, are they doing it ironically? They're like just using soy as an insult because it's just
no.
Like,
I don't think so. I think that the next generation is way more open minded about the fluidity of sexuality, but they still care about like white ethno state stuff, obviously. But they're like, oh no, you can be gay and a Nazi at the same time.
Oh, great! Like that's wonderful.
Well, I mean,
I'm so proud of
things
them.
aren't necessarily mutually exclusive. Like,
certainly not. Ask Ernst Röhm.
Yeah.
But like in your interaction,
that would be a fantastic gay bar. Ask Ernst.
But in your in your streaming and interactions with this community, like coming from a left wing perspective or point of view, like what do you find as like what resonates to them, or like do you find that you are convincing them, or is it?
Oh yeah.
Like so like what about a point of view that you're bringing? Yeah, like what do they respond to you about that?
The memes for the most part, and also here's the thing.
Also, do they know what you look like?
Yeah.
Okay, so
okay, I guess we understand why you have a big queer teenage audience.
Yeah,
so there's that. I have
it don't hurt.
For sure, that's definitely a part of it. But the thing is, like, they don't have a lot of access to proper leftist representation. That's why I love Chapo, because you guys do a great job of representing leftist values by being dirtbags, but also talking about the material, things that are important, right? And they're definitely fed up with all of the cultural elements that we talk about, the minutia that don't actually impact people's lives, especially if you're apolitical and privileged in some respects. So when someone comes in and is like, oh no, both parties are pretty bad, and here's what we should be doing, like the rest of the world, and this is why it's wrong. And as a leftist, I'm not similar to the hysterical blue-haired college SJW compilation video representative of the left. They're like, oh, this is a little different than what I expected the left to be like.
Right.
But at the same time, like, you get the feeling that, like, in their social context, like, offline, like, that these are, like, sort of outcasts, you know, the outcasts of the communities that they're in, or just they don't feel like they fit in.
Oh, for sure. I mean, dude, they spend 6 to 8 hours on Twitch.
But literally, does anyone that age fit into anything anymore? I mean, like, these, like, they seem really atomized. Like, all young people now seem really
that's
atomized.
where I really do feel like, and I try to resist this, I really do feel like computers are fundamentally changing social relationships, because
the internet, not computers per se, Grandpa.
Okay.
A computer is
you get a big bank of spinning cartridges.
no. He
tapes.
likes the computers because that's where he watches his programs. But other than
Programs on the computer, no, the internet, because as you say, at that age nobody fits in anywhere.
Yeah.
But in the old days, you didn't have a choice. Now, if that pressure is too much, and for most of us it is at some point or another, you can opt out. You can drop out and go online and have a simulated version of that life where there's much less risk and danger and awkwardness.
social simulacrum.
Simulacrum with only the good stuff, only the dopamine. And so a lot of people making that choice, and that's a choice previous misfits didn't have, and that made them sort of push through it. And now a lot of people don't feel they have to push through it because they could just go online.
They can retreat,
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
the
but the
option of
alternative
retreat
is scary.
shouldn't be. The option of retreat shouldn't be there. You need to be like bullied a little bit, just a little bit.
Just push, keep
They
going.
said there's
Just put your head down and go through it.
Psychiatrist that was saying like the way to healthy growth is a series of small to mid-sized manageable traumas.
Yeah.
Like
that makes
too
a lot of
big,
sense.
and it's like you're gonna crack your brain like an egg. But nothing, you just become gelatinous, you know?
Yeah, I think that's why they're so malleable on YouTube, and all that right-wing commentary gets super popular there, because it's a sense of belonging. If you feel like you're pushed away and disenfranchised as like a young boy living in Idaho or whatever, then you have a sense of community of like-minded individuals who also hate the SJWs and the libtards,
Well,
and
the
like
fact,
to own them.
too, that these things are so, like the YouTube video thing are just like a guy talking into a screen. I mean, we joke about podcasts being friendship simulators or whatever, but this is like a conversation simulator. Like there's they're really low quality. They don't like light anything. They don't go to it for that. That's not what it's about. There's not even any interest in making it look, like a produced show half the time. These people want their dad, Jordan Peterson, to give them a lecture. Like, that's literally what it is.
And they've gotten to the point where they can only recognize interactions that come that way. I mean, I'm sure that most of these people who had their mind blown by Jordan Peterson had been told by their parents to fucking clean the room about 500 goddamn times. And it never for a second penetrated because it was in the
Because they've been on the
context of
internet
this
since birth.
awful meat space that they don't get to edit. And it's only somebody like goes through like the signifiers that tell them that there's someone to listen to. And they say, have you considered cleaning your room? They're like, oh my God, you're a genius.
No, there's a social aspect to Twitch, but like the meat and potatoes. And tell me if I'm wrong. Is still just playing video games with your friends or watching.
Yeah, that's changing
other people
too.
Play video games. It's becoming more of an open source, just interaction of any kind or commentary like what you're doing.
Yeah, and luckily and surprisingly, they're not. I mean, they've only come down hard on me once or twice. One for watching a Michael Moore documentary, and there was gore, so I got banned.
Was it when they killed the rabbits? And
No, it was actually, I was talking about Latin American intervention, and I think it was like apart from Bowling for Columbine, and there was gore, like real dead bodies. It was a bullshit ban, but
Yeah.
But ultimately, like, I mean, what I was gonna say is like they are pretty good at banning hate speech, and they're really hands on. So
it's more moderated than a lot of the internet.
There's not a lot of right wingers on the platform, and there are a lot of left wingers now on the platform. A lot of leftists, like Destiny's another one who you guys share members in your community with, who debates like all of these people on the alt right and also on the right, and he does a really good job. And he has that same like Ben Shapiro style of like logic and reasoning, and I'm going to debate you. He's not a chud, I swear. He's cool, but he does a really good job of converting a lot of these kids because all they care about is their side winning or being on the winning team and ownage and bloodshed.
I mean, for a certain age group of man, like we kind of like laugh about the idea of debate because it's sort of a prissy schoolboy's pursuit or whatever. It's the masculinity of nerds. But for a certain age of young boys, like that's how they do things. I remember like Angela was talking about when she taught, she said like, young women are, and I think a lot of this has to do with like just sort of being socialized in kind of conformist ways where you're more likely to be punished for a dissident opinion if you're a girl. And guys, she said, sort of like really young ones, like, 17, 18, start out by just picking a position and being like, this is the thing I believe. But that doesn't mean that they're actually committed to it because it's just the shoes they're wearing that week or whatever. And so they are more receptive to it's almost like a youthful like stage of development, like debate or something like that. And we've kind of eliminated the idea of conversation from like political discourse. But when you are that age, like especially if you're maybe a guy and you sort of like are just trying on an identity for the first time, like you kind of have to talk to them. There's no getting around talking to them.
The thing is, they love it because it's mental MMA.
Mind combat.
Yeah, it's mind combat. They don't want to watch the crude spectacle of those jocks punching each other. But a mental combat, now that's entertaining.
That would also make sense as to why Ben Shapiro is so popular, is by being a giant nerd and incredibly boring. And
that's the thing. People say, why would you want to listen to this droning nerd?
No one else is doing it.
Because you are one and you relate to him.
Yeah. It also makes them feel smart, too. Like Sam Harris and all these other IDW guys.
I mean, who is like on his face an idiot. Like
yeah, but these people don't know anything.
He's like a genuinely dumb guy.
Yeah.
But what he does is a very good impression of like an intelligent person.
That's an ad hominem, by the way.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah.
But I mean, in terms of like another form of combat, what do you make of like the most popular video games that people play? Obviously, like Fortnite, we've joked about it before.
Oh God.
Like that kind of this battle royale.
That's just because it's like free, right?
But people spend a shitload of money on it to dress in different costumes and stuff.
But it is like I do think that the materialist explanation is like a low price point for entry.
Yeah,
you might not take the leap on something that complicated and kind of a baroque game like that if they charged for it.
I paid $50 for.
Yeah, that's why the other games don't actually succeed as well as Fortnite did, because they charge. Like Call of Duty Black Ops is not as popular as Fortnite because it's not free.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people who just simply can't pay $60 for a game.
Well, but you say it's free, but I still paid $50 for my Stephen Paddock skin.
Oh God.
My opponents, their sushi is comped every time. But so is it really just popular because it's free? Why is it still popular?
I think that's a big part of it. Well,
seems like it's
because they
so
constantly
long.
reinvent themselves. So the game mechanics are the game mechanics are consistent, right? It's a battle royale. You get dropped in. There's an element of like randomness to it, and you're trying to accumulate as many resources as possible. So that's, I think Hegelbon had like a piece on, I forget.
He did, yeah, about how it's like
talked about like the capitalist element of it.
Scarcity, yeah.
Yeah. So I think they do play on that a little bit, which is interesting. But the reason why it's so successful is because they take feedback like crazy from the fan base, and they're constantly tweaking it. So the game throughout the different seasons kind of changes, and it changes along with like user feedback. The mechanics are still the same. You're still shooting, but there are new guns. The dynamic is different. So it's almost like it's a new game all the time, and it's free.
Well, it might be a new game all the time, and that might help you get some new subscribers and keep some. But you're on the urge. I'm not talking to you, but Epic, you're on the verge of losing one of your most dedicated customers, because Felix, who's been playing Fortnite 30 hours a day for the past year, is now on suicide watch because they stretch the res. Is that
No,
what
they
it
took
is?
away the FOV slider.
Yeah,
You
they
just
took away
went
the
with
field of
what
vision.
this
Yeah,
means?
they took away the field of vision slider, so it's stuck now. And Felix was very comfortable with his field of vision that he slid it to.
Well,
He's
but-
very unhappy.
But
Yeah.
I think there is something to obviously you get them hooked with a free sample. So the free thing is a good thing.
Yeah, like crack.
Exactly. No, I
Yeah.
did not make that comparison lightly. And then the fact that you acquire things is very it's it does seem like collecting resources maybe appeals to some kind of acquisitive thing, especially maybe for a generation that's completely hopeless about ever buying a house or getting married or having children or anything
And
that.
there's also a lot of building in Fortnite, so you can sort of build a little
Yeah, you can
gazebo.
have a little legacy for that game.
The little pine deck that you'll never have.
Yeah.
It goes away immediately because they shoot it down.
But at least you can have an effect on the world. I think maybe it does poke your brain in special little primitive places.
But it's just it's like the concept is it's 100 people on an island. You team up, you go to war with each other.
That sounds cool. It's the Lego part that I feel like.
Yeah, I'm
I
not a
would
fan
find
of that. Also, I think you should be able to either kill your opponent or seduce them. And then at the end of it, you win either by killing all your opponents or seducing them all.
So other than Fortnite, though, what are the other hot games that the kids are playing these days? What are the cool ones?
So it comes in waves, right? So whenever a new game comes out, if it's really cool, all the streamers start playing it, and everyone wants you to play it as well. Apex Legends was a big one for a little bit, but I think that's
basically the
died
same
out.
concept as Fortnite.
Basically the same concept. Also a free game, but they didn't have cool characters, or it was every character had a different ability, which made it a little different than Fortnite, and there was no building, and it was an FPS game. So we thought, or everyone thought, that Apex was going to be the Fortnite killer, but Fortnite became too powerful. I mean, it's too
So
consistent.
nothing is gonna knock Fortnite.
No, yeah,
off.
you have League of Legends, and we're only talking about the American marketplace because China and the Asian marketplace is entirely different.
what are they playing?
They're all playing League. They really love League out there, and I think they play Overwatch still too.
But still, it's it's the same, basically, team up, and you always there is no part of these games in which you are playing against the computer.
No, yeah, these
it's
are all online. Yeah.
And I guess this is the generational gap for me with video games, is because when I play video games now, I don't like playing the ones where you play against other human beings.
Yeah, multiplayer versus single player.
Yeah, I want a curated video game experience that's kind of like a the last video game I got really into was the Resident Evil 2 remake on PlayStation.
Yeah, I mean, they still have that. Yeah, that's a great game.
No, it's really cool, but it just stresses me out playing against other people because they're all too fucking good. And at this point in my life, I'm not going to get good enough at video games.
No,
to
we both
enjoy
had
it.
a very intense Zelda period.
Oh, I love
and by
Zelda.
intense, it was the opposite of intense. It was a very Marianne experience. And we had the thing where we liked wandering around in a sandbox and having the option to do things on the basis of what we were up for that day. So it's you were never going to be surprised with a big boss. You might go do a little puzzle thing. Or you might go catch all the chickens or whatever.
You might just ride a horse.
You might just fucking ride a horse across the map, whatever. So that's a completely different boutique experience where you can pick what you want to do in the game that day. And it seems with Fortnite, you're immediately thrown in and people are trying to kill you. And that is the only thing that's happening. That is the only thing that's happening is people trying to kill you.
I played one time and it was honestly a little upsetting.
It scared you, man.
You get those gunshots and it's quit shooting at me. I'm nice.
Yeah, they don't
I
even
wanna
have
play
a
my gay
tutorial
elf
either,
game.
which is kind of crazy. I mean, games like that, they don't even have tutorials anymore. They just literally drop you in. Your drill sergeant just threw you off the plane, and you're in there. You're fighting
You're in the
people,
shit,
trying to figure
man.
it out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's basically Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
But you die and you just start another game. You
Die,
just jump in
repeat.
another game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Live, die, repeat, baby.
Yeah, I mean,
I-
but single player games still exist. By the way, they just don't make it. It requires a tremendous amount of time to put together a story like that. It still takes 5 to 7 years to make a great AAA title that's single player, and the payoff is not as great as a multiplayer experience where you just keep throwing in like bullshit. It's capitalism
Yet again,
that has ruined
economic
the gaming
explanation.
industry. And no, it's literally that though. And like loot boxes are another massive problem as well.
I'm pretty sure that it is Five Guys and their burgers and fries that ruin the gaming industry.
Probably.
But yeah, like now that I have PlayStation, I'm waiting for this Kojima game. I'm waiting for Death Stranding, and then I'm like, Felix, when is this game coming out? And he's like, oh, you don't know what it's like to wait for a Kojima game. It's going to be like 7 years before he gets done tweaking that. But I like this sort of like cinematic world that Kojima creates, and like in the Metal Gear Solid games that Felix has got me fascinated in. By default, just being around him.
So good.
But like they're great, and like but the thing is like to write like a script and create that world like takes a lot of time and labor. Whereas like with Fortnite and Apex, it's like a sort of a template that's infinitely repeatable and variable. And also like the $60 like buying a game, like that's like the floor now. Whereas like instead of spending $60 once to get like a disc or to download it, now it's like a thing where like you can get it for free, but you'll spend way over $60 over the course of your lifetime playing this game, getting things like the loot crates. But like is in the Twitch community, are there sort of like a gamer rebellion against their exploitation of via loot crates and skins and things like that?
So Jim Sterling is a pretty decent content creator on YouTube. He's pretty big.
The beer nerd was literally telling me to watch Jim Sterling.
Yeah,
videos,
he talks about this quite
week.
frequently. I think he's a social democrat, or like maybe he's a democratic socialist. I don't know, but he talks about this a lot. He talks about like unions in the gaming industry and all that. But yeah, there is a little bit. And I think it's actually a perfect way to radicalize the youth. I'm not going to lie, because it immediately impacts them. Everybody hates DLCs. DLCs make games awful. DLCs, for what you guys, if you don't know what that is, it's downloadable content. So you're basically buying a $60 game, and then you're spending another $30 to unlock additional parts in that fucking single player game.
Like I already paid for it.
Yeah, that you already paid for, and it's not good enough. It's not like an entire game. And EA and like these big giant companies that merge with all these other smaller companies have kind of made this their business model. And then now we're moving away from that to the online like battle royale style where the games are free, but then it's the exact same game with like minor tweaks every month or so, making it like an endless repeatable experience.
But also, you brought up like the labor issues. Like I keep hearing about these games, like the new Mortal Kombat or wherever, where it's like to meet a deadline, they're just like making people work like 100 hours a week.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They're really like these programmers and people working for these video game companies. It's like really like hardcore exploitation, and like there is no union for these people or whatever. Like they're just being like run.
Well,
like
it's like
dogs.
a multi-billion-dollar industry too. Like
and like Ubisoft, for example, will show record profits, and I think they recently laid off like a quarter of their staff or something like crazy. So everything that's happening in all these other industries, you're seeing in the gaming world as well. And with automation, they're also suffering. Like the coders are also suffering as well. With the more efficient the process is, and the less they need artists and writers and story editors and whatnot, the more people are getting fired for no reason.
But yeah, like another like very easy to understand object lesson for like young inquisitive minds about like, oh, these companies are making insane profits off these video games. What do they do immediately with it? Lay people off. They're not going to like reinvest it in the people who created the game or anything like that.
Why the fuck would they?
Yeah, video games. It's the way of the future, and I'm playing. I'm playing them now. And I do agree with Amber though. Breath of the Wild is like my favorite.
Just chill out.
My favorite video game.
Very Marianne.
Yeah. So to close out today, I've got a very funny story about probably one of our favorite characters on the show, Sebastian Gorka. It's too bad James isn't here. We just did, or too bad this story didn't come out, before we talked to James. But Sebastian Gorka is very angry.
He is incredibly angry.
And
That's
he's
weird
mad
because usually he's so chill.
Yeah. And,
incandescently enraged.
And this is from the Washington Post, a little mini reading series here. This is a war for our culture. Sebastian Gorka anguished by gay wedding on Arthur. Yeah. That's not the fucking Dudley Moore Burt Bacharach movie. This is the PBS show about an aardvark. long-running children's cartoon show.
A show that friend of the show, Steven Crowder,
Crowder was a
voice, part of.
Yeah, he was a voice on Arthur.
I wonder what his take is.
Well, I can imagine. Arthur also best known for one of the fist meme.
Yeah.
One of my favorite memes.
It's a really good one.
Internet. Yeah.
Getting tuned up.
Yeah. So Gorka, it says here, Sebastian Gorka, the former Breitbart editor and White House aide, goes live every weekday from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time on the Salem Radio Network. I don't know why the Washington Post is just beginning this article with a plug for his show.
Check it out. It's
killing it. Yeah. My man's killing it. He went from the White House to...
It's an insightful, in-depth review of the news of the week.
What is the Salem Network? Do you guys know?
I'm sure it's probably one of these like
online,
just insane right wing, like what is
it? It was founded by Cotton Mather.
Yeah.
What happened? Did Sinclair fire him or something? Because I thought he had like a gig at Sinclair Broadcasting where
my man, Gorka loves losing jobs.
Yeah.
Motherfucker loves getting fired.
Yeah. So it says here on Tuesday he provided a new raison d'etre for America First, the title of his show, and the slogan for President Trump's approach to foreign policy, which was also used by isolationists and Nazi sympathizers before the Second World War. Again, odd thing to throw in there.
Gorka's grandfather. Shouts out to Gorka's family.
The reason, the 22nd season of Arthur, the animated children's series about an anthropomorphic aardvark, Gorka, who brandished the insignia of a historically Nazi-aligned Hungarian group called the Vitezi Rend at an inauguration ball in January 2007, flew into a rage because the season's Monday premiere featured a gay wedding. Arthur's third grade teacher Nigel Ratburn, exchanged his vows with the local...
well, I mean, it's not the gay wedding. It's just he thought it was Jewish.
No, he actually calls them rodents on the show. I watched the video. No, he goes, these rodents are getting married. These rodent-like figures. I was just like, dude.
Wow.
Yeah.
It says, Nigel Ratburn is exchanging vows with the local chocolatier, an aardvark named Patrick. So not only is it a gay marriage, it's an interspecies marriage as well.
No,
you see how they're brainwashing our children?
Yeah,
the Great Replacement is happening on Arthur as well.
It's like they pass gay marriage, and then people are going to be fucking dogs.
They're going to be fucking aardvarks.
Yeah.
No.
Well, they got that snout.
Yeah, I was just thinking. They got that snout and that tongue.
Yeah.
Super long
You know what?
tongue
They
that
work
goes
for
into-
any gender.
It's the dog
It really
pill.
does.
I don't know.
It'd be like
the
dog
pipe,
pill.
be like a sexy
dog
pipe
pill.
cleaner in your urethra.
It says, this is a war for our culture, and that's why we exist here on America First on Salem Radio Network, Gorka said. So he goes, Gorka, who briefly served as a spokesman for Trump on national security matters before he left the White House in the summer of 2017, saw something
For talking about the Battle of Austerlitz too much.
saw something insidious at work. The diversity showcased on Arthur fit a pattern of left-wing demagoguery he identified in everything from the revolutionary reign of terror in France to the administration of President Barack Obama. The ideology on display in Mr. Ratburn's nuptials and the rest was that, quote, civil society doesn't exist, friendship doesn't exist, family doesn't exist, Gorka maintained, only permanent revolution. Again, talking about a children's cartoon show featuring a gay marriage.
Yeah.
The similarities between the French Revolution and Barack Obama is that they both
He's
wanted
trying to catch his tail.
they both wanted to do gay shit. That's what like this is what I don't understand though. Like do they think that like if they hide the truth that gay people exist from their children as long as they possibly can, that they're just going to be like confused one day or something when they see a gay person? And
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. It's just they're not. I mean, it's intolerance in the literal sense that they cannot accept a public sphere in which some people are able to just exist outwardly.
But I think that train has left the station. Gays have been high profile on television since the 90s.
Yeah, no. Well, they have to know that this is a useless fight. It's just something to get people riled up.
Well,
But
they're
it
just
just seems very
magazines for
old.
children. Like they're like, oh, it's a cartoon, so it's the gay agenda.
Right,
It's
yeah.
gay
Right.
propaganda. They're like making your children gay. Well, which is not even true, but also, I mean, okay, well, gay people exist in society. What?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what do you think?
Depicting
Like,
gay
how are you going to
people
mask the truth from
is
them? How
not-
are you going to
yeah.
hide that?
No, that's what's so weird about it, and I think it's the same attitude towards abstinence-only sex education, where they're like, oh, if kids learn about this filth, they're gonna do it. Yeah. And it's just like, no, they're gonna do it. Yeah. I mean, like, this is a part of human life.
Yeah, nothing gets kids going like your fucking sweaty gym teacher teaching you about like how to put on a
Commission on HIV.
It really is. It's amazing.
Had all of these old Tory freaks that weren't associated with public health at all, and the round table trying to figure out what to do about what was very quickly becoming like a massive epidemic. And she didn't want to put any sexual practices on there because she said it might give them ideas. Because if it had never occurred to her to do it, like she the whole thing, she thinks of sex as a discovery or something. And then someone else brought up like, well, they should know that also like oral sex can, like, you know, because people don't know about sexually transmitted disease at this point. And like, one of the Tory MPs goes, do we even know how many people are doing this sort of thing?
Exactly.
Sexy English
if they
people.
find out about it, you know, then, like it'll be like
it would never occur to them.
Well, also hilariously,
I never think, what if I put that in my mouth?
You know, or what if the word came out of my mouth? But but that Thatcher thing, she didn't want to have like she's just like the PM cannot sign any document that has the word sodomy in it, and it's just like, do you think British people had to be told about sodomy, especially coming from the Thatcher administration? Come on.
Wait, isn't that literally the reason why Japan still censors penises though? Because like no one wants to be the brave legislator that comes out and says, "What are we doing with this censorship stuff?"
Yeah, you don't want that to be your issue.
Yeah, no, who's gonna come out?
I'm to depixelate the porno.
That is not a dignified.
It's amazing that these people are almost all Christians, because the Christian understanding of sin is that it is inherent to humanity. We are all sinners. But this approach really does say that, no, you are a perfect, innocent angel until you are sullied by contact with something from outside of you. But that goes against the entire concept of original sin.
Well, we have original sin, but like, you know, we have to also avoid the occasion of sin, aka the knowledge that gay people exist.
See, that's just that's not realistic, folks.
I think it's partially like the Rick Perry problem, right? Like, I don't know if you guys remember, but he used to say something like, "Oh, you know, avoiding dicks is like alcohol." I mean, not in those words. I'm paraphrasing it, but he's like, you know, an alcoholic can't stop himself from drinking alcohol, but you got to fight it. And I remember thinking at the time, like, no, dude, that's not. I'm not fighting my need to have dick inside of me every day, like a fucking alcoholic.
That's kind of a you thing.
Yeah. So I think like partially like if I see it, I mean, I crave it. Dicks are delicious. I crave it all the time.
I was up there for a while there. I was up to 2 or 3 packs of dicks a day.
Yeah. It's just like.
I remember similar to that, Rick Warren, the Saddleback Church guy who fucking Obama got to do his first inauguration.
The bareback church guy.
Yeah. That should have been fucking clue one about where Obama's presidency was going. But yeah, he was asked something about like, you know, come on, like, you know, if you're gay, you're gay. Like, and he was just like, well, you know, I've struggled with my weight. I'm like, I really like eating pizza, but sometimes I just got to say no to that pizza. You know, it's just like.
Does that mean that he occasionally sucks cock?
Yeah.
Like, it's not. It's like once a month I can have pizza. And
what
that's
if
also
that
when I can
was
suck
it?
a guy's dick.
What if it was actually like they were okay with homosexual sex in moderation?
By the way, that's not even a joke, but that's like actually what Ben Shapiro said on the Joe Rogan show, where he was like, oh, well, if you're Jewish and you're gay, you have to marry a woman and you have to tell your wife that you're gay, but you still have to marry a woman. Like you can't be Jewish and gay at the same time. Like it was insane that he's still trying to justify his
no, there are Catholics like
homophobia.
that too, that are like, okay, you're gay and it's not a choice and God loves you. Now get married to a nice heterosexual wedding.
Which is woke, I guess, right? Isn't that woke? Because they're admitting that like it's a thing that you are.
It's definitely better than the complete denial of the fact that like people are gay, I think.
More like Bareback Ranch.
Hasan, though, did you see the interview with the fucking
He's so proud of himself.
Did you see the interview with fucking another absolute cretin, Dave Rubin and Ben Shapiro?
You know,
Dave
we used to work together.
Oh yeah, he was on the Young Turks. Holy
I used
shit!
to play basketball with the boy every Sunday.
Holy shit!
Even after he left and started talking shit, and he would still come to the Sunday basketball sessions. He's actually pretty good at. I mean, he's not bad at basketball.
Ball is life.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he
no,
balled.
and Dave Rubin's like an openly gay guy who's now fucking caping for like the most evil people on the planet, assuring them that like, hey, I'm cool with you, and they're cool with me, right? And it's like, dude, they will stuff you in a fucking camp like the first chance they get, dude. Like, there was another thing.
People never learn. They're like, I will be the favorite homo.
Yeah, like Dennis Prager. Yeah, he really likes you, dude. But no, he was talking with Ben Shapiro, and he was like, Ben, I think, maybe like, you move me a little bit on the abortion issue, like, because this whole thing is like, open debate. And he's like, I think I could, move you on the issue of like having dinner with me and my husband. And Ben was like, I'll think about it.
Yeah. Like,
and he's like,
"Can you give me dignity? Like, I've listened to you rant on about how abortion is
cock."
Yeah.
To be like,
so
please
bad.
like me.
And what Shapiro said to him was like, well, if it's just a party, with you and your husband, and it's not a gay party, I could do that.
What does he think parties are?
Well, he was
Does he think it's a key party?
He thinks if you get 2 or more gay people in a room, they immediately start having sex.
Yeah. Oh God.
So just to finish it out here with Gorka, here he says, the permanent revolution pursued by Arthur, Gorka steamed, had to do with.
He does wear the same glasses as Trotsky.
He goes, the permanent revolution had to do with family. He said his issue with Arthur, which began in 1996 and airs on PBS Kids, was personal. My children used to watch.
Arthur killed my father.
My children used to watch Arthur 15 years ago about a rodent-like creature that lived and had fun in his cartoon world. First of all, aardvarks are nothing like rodents, you idiot.
Get your shit together.
The new season of Arthur will have one of Arthur's teachers at school, a male teacher married to a fellow male rodent. Yeah, there he's creepy. He just sees things that are like rodent or Jewish like in his mind, and he's just like, the rodents are at it again.
No, he made his children watch Arthur so that they were like less anti-Semitic because he thought that was the representation. Yeah,
right.
It's like it's good. It was woke for my time. But
the right-wing commentator and rabble rouser, you guys here. Did you have any questions about there being a culture war, ladies and gentlemen? He asked his listeners. Did you have any doubt in your mind? It says it's not the first time that themes in the animated universe have drawn conservative ire. In 2005, PBS chose not to distribute an episode of Postcards from Buster, a spin-off following Arthur's rabbit confidant, which include that rabbits are rodents, by the way. Which included lesbian mothers. The decision came after Margaret Spellings, then Education Secretary on President George W. Bush, raised strong and very serious concerns about the episode. Many parents would not want their young children exposed to the lifestyles portrayed in this episode, she wrote to PBS executives.
Okay. Like, just basic, like, Tipper Gore conservative kind of thing, like, I get. But why does Gorka have to talk about it like he's delivering the Tears in the Rain monologue? Like, that's what makes it
war,
weird.
ma'am. He is at war. It's a culture war for the future of civilization.
This particular culture war issue, and it is fine. I'm fine calling it a culture war issue. Like, is the purview of PTA moms. Like, why are you sounding like Bane when you talk about it? You can't make it cool.
Take control of your city.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
Rodents.
Aardvarks fucking and sucking rats on a PBS children's TV show. Indoctrinate. Hasan, I think you get it right though, because it's like the Will and Grace ship has passed, and I think it's just all about like anything that has to do with children. Like they think it's like educating kids about or just
gender ideology.
But the thing is, like, it's not even educating kids. It's just like what really drives them crazy.
They're just there.
Is the show is like it's not making a big deal out of it. It just assumes that this is a reality that these kids will encounter in their daily lives. So it's reflected.
The most unrealistic part about it is that kids would ever go to their teacher's wedding. That's weird.
That's bizarre.
Sure, but like,
I don't know. Hasn't he been his teacher for 25 years now?
Like, what is this hellhole that Arthur lives in? This loop.
By the way, how fucking stupid is Arthur? He's still in middle school. Come on.
You know
dude.
why? Because his teachers are gay.
I just love that, the grand conspiracy of the Frankfurt School and all these cultural Marxists was to make child shows, like put gay characters.
Oh my
in child
God,
shows.
yeah.
Like, that's
Adorno
what that's what
hate
comes-
Arthur.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. Like this was the shtick. That's what they wanted, and they're finally winning. They are, I guess.
This
So
was the long
stupid.
march through the institutions, and the institution was PBS.
Yeah.
But
Well, socialism. That's
Yeah.
you're right.
public broadcasting.
Yeah, disgusting.
Pubic broadcasting. Well, I think that about does it for this episode. I want to thank Hasan Piker for hosting us here today and having us over.
Thank you
And,
for having me, guys.
And and all the chill and good vibes of the wonderful state of California.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we're
And,
so chill.
and
I
Ian-
can barely move.
And Ian McShane for bestowing his aura and
Pimp.
power and
Pimp.
energy on
Strong
me.
pimp.
Just by being in proximity, just through osmosis.
Just
I feel like I have McShane energy.
oh
now.
man, such a swagger.
We love you.
I love you, Ian. I love you.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.